In today's fast-paced world, recruiting the best talent is always in demand. Today, we're going to dive into the often overlooked strategies on how to always be recruiting. Stick with us. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I am your host, John Espinosa. To the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. Hey everyone, John here. Welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. I am back home. It was a wild 4 days of travel. I probably drove over 1,000 miles within those 4 days. So I was ready to come back home, be back in my bed. Many of you who travel out there that are listening understand the importance of just being home. I love to travel. I love to go visit other places, but there's nothing like coming home. But one of the reasons why I was traveling so much, one, to go see my son play soccer, be a part of his team and that culture. And then the second reason was to go be a part of an organization that I'm a member of in the executive board or the team there. Anytime you have built a successful culture that people want to be a part of, it is crucial that you have a succession plan. A lot of times, when I go into organizations or I talk to small business owners and I ask them what their succession plan is. What if you get sick? What if you can't show up to work for a week? What if you got to go on vacation? What is your succession plan? The business can't stop. I don't know about you, but the businesses I've been a part of and the businesses that I help, they can't stop running. They have to maintain the momentum. So in order for us to do that, we have to always be recruiting. ABR. Remember that. Write it down. Always be recruiting. And this can be from a small business owner looking to expand or just looking to make sure that they have bench strength. If you have an executive, who is that executive training in case that executive gets another opportunity or they go start their own company? In a team environment, if you have somebody that's doing your project planning or you have an individual who's really good at a task within your team, how are you capturing that knowledge? Is there a process guide? Is there a system that they're following that makes them efficient? Is that system documented? And then who else, if they won the lottery tomorrow, could step into their place, not do the identical job in the identical way that that individual, that high performer is doing it now, but doesn't also need a whole bunch of knowledge and the ramp up speed is minimal. You will see great teams. And you can look on this even in a sports analogy in coaching. American football, National Football League. You have a head coach, and normally you will have an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and then the various other position coaches. A lot of times when organizations are looking for new head coaches, where do they go? They go to the offensive coordinator ranks or the defensive coordinator ranks. So that head coach, you have to have a succession plan, because if you have a lot of high performers, which I don't know about you, but I want to be a part of high performing teams. It's not a matter of if, it's when somebody will come and recruit or poach somebody out of your team and your organization to go run their organization, to go run their own team. And that's a great thing. I think many times I've been in organizations that have both philosophies. One philosophy of train your team to the best of your ability. Give them all the training that they possibly can have, that they want, because that only betters the team. I've also been on teams with the philosophy that we don't want to get you too much training because we're afraid that you'll leave. What if they leave anyways? I always ask CEOs or small business owners, what if that employee leaves anyways? Now you don't have anybody that is trained up behind them to do the job. So today we are going to talk about techniques to always be recruiting. First, I want to stop and pause. Welcome all those new listeners. Thank you for joining us today. And for you continued listeners out there, give me a thumbs up below. Let me know that you continue to enjoy these episodes. This month is all about teams. Put in the comments something that you want to know about teams. Ask me a question. I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. So ABR, always be recruiting. When I first stepped into the role of leading teams, the very first question that my manager, my leader at that time asked was, what's your team philosophy? And I quickly looked at them and I said, I want to create a team of go-tos. And they kind of looked at me a little funny. They said, go-tos? I said, do you know an individual in your life that you go to whenever you have an IT issue? Whenever I can't work my phone, who do I go to? I go to my son. Whenever I can't figure out something on the internet or I'm looking for a gaming app or something, who do I go to? My son. Whenever you are looking for that one particular thing or knowledge on a subject, who is your go-to? And so when I told that individual I wanted to create a team of go-tos, that's what I was talking about. I wanted to create a team of people who others are going to information for. That makes sense? So along with that mentality, that meant I had to go and recruit go-tos. And normally, I don't know about your go-to, but my go-to is in high demand. They are sought after experts within their field. And that's something that, as far as recruiting, guess what you have to have? You have to have a great culture, and you have to establish a foundation of trust for that go-to, that high performer, that person in demand who probably is in a great position already to come and join your team. So I'm going to share with you some techniques around how I have found to create a culture where I get go-tos when I ask them, hey, what do you think about the possibility of coming to join our team? Or later on down the road, you get a call, you get an instant message, you get an email asking if there's any opportunities on your team. That's when you know what you're doing is working. So let's dig into this first one. One of the concepts that great teams have is the ability to hire, to recruit, to retain talent, and then unleash them to do their best work. So what does that look like? What is unleashing people to do their best work? It might be easier to start what it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like micromanagement. There are operating procedures, there are guides, there's ways of doing things, getting them done that are your preferred way. However, how did you get there? You got there through probably failing a couple times or something not working. So you, instead of trying X, now you're trying Y. But why did that happen? Because something fell through the cracks. So you put another step in the process. So when people are coming on board your team, I always like to pair them up with a mentor to help them uncover anything that I myself may have a blind spot or I'm not doing the day-to-day like they are, so they're able to explain it a little bit better than if they were just to hear it from me. So from that standpoint, they get firsthand how things are done. Then normally I will have a follow-up meeting. I'll ask them how things are going, ask them if they have any questions. And at that time, if they do have any questions, if there's any discrepancy within what they've been told and what they're seeing, that's that opportunity for me to discuss. And then from there is my opportunity to empower them. And I think that's one of the ways that you unleash people to do their best work. We hire, we recruit, we have people join our teams, our businesses, our families that we can trust. I don't know how many people you let in your home on a day-to-day basis. I don't let too many people in my personal home unless I trust them. I don't keep too many people in my inner circle on my first team unless I trust them. And in order for me to show trust, I have to give them a little bit of the pie, a little bit of the power, hence the empower them to make decisions, to act on my behalf whenever I may fall sick, whenever I go on vacation. So the important piece to this is you as the leader, you as the matriarch, patriarch, you as that small business owner, you as that student who is working with the group, and you're depending on everybody to pull their weight so that way you can have a successful project, you can have a successful report or final product, whatever that looks like, which ends up in a good grade. You have to trust them and you have to empower them to do their best work. So the first way that you always be recruiting is show people that you trust them, empower them, and word of mouth is the best marketing that you could possibly have because they are going to interact with others external to the team. Have you ever been on a team and when you guys are together, when you all are together, there's really no negativity, there's no conflict, there's no disagreement in there. But then outside of that room that you are in, what happens? Oh, John's a micromanager. John consistently overtalks. I don't feel as if John trusts me. I'm sure you've all been on one of those teams, in those groups, in those rooms that you can say somebody didn't trust you. There are a lot of expectations that I have for my teams that I lead. And one of them is we always talk about the disagreement, we talk about the conflict, and we resolve it within the team. Don't let it fester. And again, that allows people to be unleashed to do their best work because they're not worried about failure. At that point in time, they know that failure is an option and they're going to go out and do their best work without fear of failure because that process just might be improved with something that they implement, or that technique may be improved because they tried something new for the first time that they've been thinking about. So those are some of the examples that I have used to make sure that you unleash people to do their best work. The second piece, and this goes along with the trust, is you have to show people that you care for their well-being. You can't just say it. I've been on a lot of teams that I hear the leader or whoever's running the organization or that team to say family first. But then when a deadline comes up, what happens? Hey, I have to take off some time. I got a sick kiddo. Or my son, my daughter have a big event coming up and I need to take off some time. Whoa, John, remember we got that deadline on Friday. So they don't necessarily walk the talk. People need to feel that psychological safety and know that you truly care for their well-being. This doesn't mean that you have to be a pushover. This doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that is said. This means that you just have to show up consistently and you have to say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say. So when I tell somebody that I care for their well-being and there's a project deadline, I don't have to state the expectation that that project needs to be done. I focus on the individual. I make sure that they're taken care of because if they have something going on in their personal lives, a lot of times they're not going to bring their fullest to the team. Why? Because we're all human. We all have other priorities outside of work, outside of the team. And if those priorities are higher than the team or higher than the things that are going on in your professional life, of course they're going to take part of your energy because you're thinking about them. So really ask yourself, if you are leading a team, if you have a small business, a large business, if you're a manager, if you're a father, if you're a mother, a grandfather, an uncle, an aunt, how do you show your family? How do you show your employees? How do you show your other team members that you truly care for their well-being? Last but not least, in order to always be recruiting, we want to make sure that we increase our reach by upholding our reputation. So anytime that you get in front of your team, that is an opportunity for you to uphold your reputation. Anytime they get in front of somebody, they're going to do as you do, not necessarily as you say. So that reputation is going to be upheld outside of the team. And if that reach is increased by just one person, somebody on your team interacting with somebody else on another team, or your son or daughter interacting with a son or daughter in another family and they respect that individual, there's nothing better as a parent than hearing feedback from another parent saying your son, your daughter, they're very respectful. They have manners. That's how you uphold your reputation and increase your reach. Another way you can do that is if you own a small business and you truly care, this folds back into the second one we talked about, and you truly care about your employees' well-being. When there's a vacancy, when you are growing your organization, your business, again, they are going to be your best advocates. They're going to go out there and say, John truly cares about my well-being. I'm going to go out there and tell somebody that I respect that they can come work for this organization, that they can come be a part of this team because John truly cares. I'm part of an organization that is all volunteer. Nobody gets paid. We work long hours. We work on holidays. We work on weekends. We spend time away from our family. Do you think anybody would want to be a part of that team if they didn't feel that their well-being was priority and the reputation of the team itself was upheld and high? I doubt they would. I would not still be a part of team of the organization if I felt that way. So I always am checking. I'm always asking myself, how can I be better? How can I increase my reach? Because you never know when somebody is going to go on to bigger, better things. Because again, when I say that our mission of the Go Be Great community is to help others get to where they're going, sometimes where they're going is not always going to be a part of our organization. But there is nothing better for somebody to go start another business, go grow, go get another position, lead a team, become a leader, get the job that you've been working towards, graduate with that certification, with that diploma. I'm happy for them. Because as a leader leading a team of go-tos, I realize that this always isn't the final destination. It may just be a stepping stone onto big and better things. And that's what we truly mean by helping others get to where they're going. I hope this episode helped you today. I'm not sure what your team looks like, but I can promise you that you always have to be recruiting. ABR, always be recruiting for your team. Remember, do it through finding people, finding those go-tos, and then unleashing them to do their best work, ensuring that your team truly feels that you have their best interests, and then upholding your reputation, which will in turn increase your reach. Go be great. We'll talk to everyone later. Bye-bye. If you like what you're hearing, do us a favor. Click on that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. That lets us know that what we are putting out benefits you. If you want additional information or resources or learn how to work with me, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com, because when we become better versions of ourselves, it helps us get others to where they're going. Go be great. Talk to everyone later.